All right. Hello, and welcome to the Legacy Insights Podcast. I am your host, Mov'n Mike, and today we are on episode five. Episode five, y'all, the Legacy Framework series, right? We're going to be discussing entrepreneurship and financial strategies to guide you towards your goals and dreams. Simply put, we're going to provide the insight to get your mind and your money right. We're going to be covering these topics, tips, interviews, webinars, open QA, current event shows that affect you and may not even affect you, but we're going to make sure that it's moving you forward. We need to know what is a legacy, right, and how to build it. Um, you need to know what is insight versus sight when it comes to a legacy. My goal is to assist you in becoming a better individual, more informed entrepreneur, and financially free. So it's time to let's get smarter, right? Y'all, you just don't know. I've been looking forward to tonight's episode with big anticipation because this is the Legacy Framework series. We're going to be starting with the first pillar tonight. Now, I got a ton of show notes here. I'm not going to tell you. I've got so much information to drop tonight. I'm so excited. I am so excited to bring this to you. So it's like I said, it's time to get smarter. Here we go. The first pillar of the Legacy Framework series is the L. It's the learn. Building your financial foundation. So welcome to the Legacy Insights podcast. So I'm going to give you a quick reminder of what these six pillars are. All right. So here we go. All right. The six pillars of a legacy is first the L. It's to learn. It's the basic foundation of education, financial education, right? Budgeting 101, credit scores, understanding net worth. We're going to be covering all of that tonight. That is the L of the first pillar. The second pillar of the foundation is elevate, ways to increase your assets and your income, side hustles, investing, upskilling. The third pillar, guard. You got to protect your legacy. Like you protect your time, protect your space, protect your family, protect your money. We're going to be talking insurance, wills, trust, awareness. The fourth pillar is align. You got to align yourself, right? I always talk about money being a tool. You get your mind and your money right, and your family in line with that. Always go in the same direction. Teaching kids marriage, teaching the kids your marriage and your money, family goals, all wrapped in there. The fifth pillar is change, right? Shifting those generational habits, breaking the cycle of paycheck to paycheck, right? Not having or having more month than money, right? We gotta change those things in our lives, right? And of course, the last pillar is the why. It's you. It all starts with you. It always has started with you, right? We can't blame other people. I always say it, and I'm going to hear me say it from now until the end of the end. My life is my own damn fault. I can't blame somebody else for what I don't have. I can't blame other people for getting the way. Listen, they just got to get it done, right? So those are the six pillars to the legacy framework, and we're starting with the legacy. With pillar one, learn. All right, so we're going to be diving right into that, but you can't build what you don't understand. That's the first thing that I want to say to you. You cannot build what you do not understand, right? And you don't know what you don't know, right? That's why it's so big to have a community. That's why the Legacy Insights podcast is here to provide that community for you, provide that safe space so that, right, you can understand without all the jargon, right? Everybody's throwing around big terminology and things like that. I'm going to be breaking this stuff down so that anybody, no matter where you are, can use it, apply it, and become successful to your level of comfort. That's what this is about. All right, so let's get started. Segment one, why learning is the first step to legacy. Well, it starts with awareness, right? You have to be aware of where you're going. Most people aren't taught this. So real talk, right? Money, shame, and confusion aren't your fault. It's not. Right. I talked about it in the first couple of episodes that like in my household, there wasn't a lot of the only money talk there was like there ain't none, or right, there's not enough, or where are we getting some more? Right. There was never like how you manage it, how you take care of it so it can take care of you, how to invest it. Those things were not the conversations in my household. So money, shame, and confusion aren't your fault, but now it is your responsibility. Now it is my responsibility, right? Here we go. So sharing in that personal stories, and I'm sure you can all relate, right? My experiences are my experiences. Your experiences are your experiences. I've done a lot of dumb things with money. I made a lot of money in my youth, right? As a contractor, as an entrepreneur in different ventures, and expanding my horizons, getting multiple streams of income, real estate, like I said, in the trades, small ventures in the side hustle area, right? And that's where I was putting together my financial knowledge, right? So what we're gonna talk about more in retrospect here is like budgeting. So that's where we really need to be, right? So as we making this money, we need to know what we're doing at it. You need to give your money a job. Every dollar, excuse me, every dollar. You got to define budgeting. You got to define it. And I have a simple definition for a budget. It's a plan how to use your income, not just track it. I said money is a tool, right? Money is a tool, and we need to use it that way, right? On purpose, right? Everything was done with intention. There's a book out there called I believe it is the intention, the purpose driven life, right? You've got to move through life with intentionality. You have to move through life on purpose. Life should not just be happening for you and me and people. And that's where a lot of people are. They're just waking up every day and letting it come, and they deal with it. Now, let me just share this with you, right? I'm a firm believer that we do not control life, we manage it. But in the managing it, you've got to have a plan so that when those unforeseen things happen, you can manage it, but you still stay on track because you have a plan, right? So every dollar's got to have a job, right? You got to know how to track it, not just know where it's coming in, but you got to know how to track it. So budgeting doesn't mean that you're broke or it's restrictive. Budgeting means that you have a plan for it, right? And there's going to be some sacrifice. I talked about niceties versus necessities. That's what we're talking about here. Your every dollar has to have a job. I can go off on a tangent, but there's so much information here. I don't want to keep you too long, but I got some notes here. We're going to just jump right into these simple 3 steps to get you started. First, you got to know your take home, right? We talk about it, right? Everybody, these are some basics, right? These are for people who are just looking at. You got to know what you're bringing in. Then you got to know what your liabilities are, right? What is your monthly expenditures? Rent, mortgage, car payment, car loan, lease payment, however, those most important things that you have, right? So, I do want to stress the fact that I've shared with you that I don't go to work to pay my bills. I go to work to pay me. Then I take care of my responsibilities in my lifestyle. And I talked about that as well, right? What good is health without wealth? What is good is wealth without a lifestyle, right? So you're taking care of yourself, you're bringing in some money, you're making more. We're talking about that, we're sharing, right? You're going to get more as we do these basic things on a daily basis and have some consistency with it. And then you're going to be building some wealth. And then you're going to know that, right, hey, I'm going to be responsible with it, because you're going to list these monthly expenses. expenses, bills, food, gas, those types of things. And then you got to prioritize your goals. Taking care of your debt, savings, and fun, right? There's no sense of working hard if you ain't going to play hard, right? Now, listen, I'll jump on a plane and shoot down the DR or over to Mexico in a minute, right? you know, but I know it's already in the plan. It's baked in. It's baked in. So I just want y'all to know, right? That it's like it just doesn't happen because I snap my finger. No, it's part of the plan, right? You work hard, you grind it out, then you go play hard. Boom, then you play hard, right? So there are some tools out there that you can actually use, right? There is the zero-based budgeting. I want you to do some research. Look out for these things. There's some zero-based budgeting. It's the 50-30-20 rule. And, depending on your preference, you want to make sure that you have options, right? That's going to fit your lifestyle, right? So I can't tell you that because I don't know you, not personally, not yet. But I've got some things that I'm sharing with you. So I want to make sure that you understand where I'm coming. So I'm going to take this time for a shameless plug. Go to the Legacy Insights Podcast YouTube page, hit subscribe, go into my bio and my description. In there are some links that I have uploaded. Those links will take you to my michaellewisfinancialspecialist.com website. There's some videos there. There's some literature there. I want you to look at it. I want you to experience. I want you to learn it, right? And if you need your questions answered, you can hit me up in the email. There's a telephone number there too. Listen, hey, I am not even, you can call this phone right here. You can call this phone. My number's in there on that website. There's also a no cost, there is a no cost financial report that you can also click on in that link. It's going to take you to a separate web page where you can put in your name, email, telephone number, and get a free, no cost financial report that's going to help accentuate your financial knowledge. Just go through the whole thing. And when you get that report at the end, it's going to tell you what you know and what you don't know. It's very fun. It's very interactive. Listen, I'm telling you, I am really excited about sharing that information with you. So please go to my website, go to the Legacy Insights Podcast on YouTube, get those links, click on them, and also subscribe to this channel because, like I said, this is just episode number 1 in the legacy framework, right, for Learn. So let's continue with this. So I got some calls to action for you this week, right? Like I said, I got some notes here. We're going to take 30 minutes to write up a few things here. So what I want you to do is define what your credit score in your audit report card, right? So the credit score is that tool, if you will. It's all a tool, right? What are they and how they matter, why they matter, right? Because the credit score is that report that is telling you what your financial health is to the lenders, to the world that may need to verify who you are and where you're coming from, how responsible you are with money, right? So there's 5 parts to a credit score. Easy to use percentages. So what they look at when they look at your credit score is the payment history. Payment history is about 35% of the credit score. The credit usage, right? Your debt to income ratio is about 30%, right? You want to have about 30% of your credit card usage there. Your credit age is 15% of what they look at. Okay. Your credit mix, how many different cards and companies do you work with? And then of course the inquiries, that's only 10%. Or the credit mix is 10% and the inquiries is 10%. So, they're looking at all this stuff, right? Who are you? How are you made up? How responsible you are? Are you trustworthy with money? Are you responsible with money? All right. And then of course, you know, how low and high scores affect you, period, right? So interest rates, housing, insurance. So this is how they grade it to see how it affects you, right? So if you've got bad history and a high usage, guess what? It's going to be your interest rates are going to reflect that, and what you pay for credit cards, and if you take out a loan, you're going to have a higher APR. And most of you already know this, right? But like I said, we got to cover it because we're starting from the bottom and rising to the from the basic to the more advanced. And we're going to be doing this as we go through these pillars. So 3 quick tips to boost your score. First one is what? You already know what it is. Pay it on time, right? Set up auto pay, right? You can set up an auto pay. That's simple enough, right? And if you don't like auto pay, I'm not really a big fan of auto pay myself, right? But there are other techniques that you can use. So it's allocating, right? So if you get paid weekly, that's 4 paychecks. You know what bills come in the first half of the month and what bills come in the second half of the month, right? So as you get better with money over time and you start doing some of those things about saving money in that emergency fund, this is where that comes into play. I talked about that in the last episode, having an emergency fund, of at least $1,000. That's what this will help you with, right? So you start saving that money here and there, you get that $1,000, and when you start applying it to your bills. So say you got bills that come in from the 1st to the 13th, right? That's 2 weeks in. You got 2 paychecks. That $1,000 that you've got sitting there will take care of those first 2 weeks worth of bills. The second 2 paychecks that you get at the end of the month, right, from the 15th to the 30th, those next 2 weeks, they will pay the second half of the month's bills, right? And then it starts all over again, because when you get paid again, you're putting the money back into your account, and then it starts all over again, right? So you're allocating money, and I hope I explained that good enough for you to understand. So you got $1,000 sitting there. You pay your first 2 months worth of bills. When you finally get paid those 2 weeks, you put it back. And then when you go to the second month, you take it out and you pay it again. Then you get paid again, you put that back, and then you do it again. Then you take it out, you pay it again, and you keep going, right? So that you can allocate that way, right? But trying to have all the money all at once, sometimes you end up with more month than you do with money, right? So if you don't want to pay or auto pay, that's something you can do. It's called, and then you could do that, right? And then you could also the tip number 2 is keep utilization under 30%. So that's the credit card tip, right? You want to make sure that your credit card, if you got $100 on a credit card, just for round number purposes, $1,000, right? You don't want to use more than 30%, which is what? $300 of that 1,000. They want to see that your debt to ratio usage is low, right? They can trust you that you're not going to max out that card and they ain't never get their own money, right? So if you keep it low, around 30%, that helps to raise your credit score, and you don't close old accounts. You don't want to do that, right? So because you need that credit history. We talked about that credit age. It's about 15% of your credit score. So you want to keep that going. So so I know quite a few people that I've helped, my coaching, that helped them get their credit score on, was just some basic budgeting skills and setting them up with budgeting techniques and bill paying techniques, so that they have money on hand. They're not stressing. They're not paying. If you pay a bill the moment it comes in the door, right, and it's got a due date of the 15th, but the bill comes in on the 1st, and you paying a bill for the 15th, but you got a paycheck on the 3rd or the 4th. Why are you stressing out about the bill that's due on the 15th. You might get 2 paychecks before that bill's due. You don't want to put out money until you really have to, right? You don't want to pay that bill right up at the moment, because now you're out of cash. If an emergency comes, you ain't got no money, right? Now I'm not telling you not to pay your bills. What I'm saying is pay it closer to the due date, so that if you're strapped for cash, you want to make sure you got money, put gas in your car. You got to get money to get in your Uber and get to work, right? Rather than paying that bill on the 1st, it's not due to the 15th or the 16th, and you ain't got no money because you paid the bill as soon as it came in, because you want to be responsible, which you should be, but you should be paying it closer to the due date, so that you make sure that you have cash in hand and cash on hand, right? You never know what's going to happen, right? So I've helped quite a few people, family members, to be exact, with some of these techniques. All right, so good credit equals access and opportunities for your family. That's what we're talking about here. So that's a legacy insight for you right there. Okay, so as we move forward here, like I said, I got tons of notes, and I'm going to use them today, right? Because I don't want to get off track, because this is so important for all of us right here, right? This is so important. So I even got some homework for you. How about that, right? So what I want you to do, everybody out there to the side of my voice, if you haven't checked your credit score in a while, please go check your credit score, right? There's some free tools out there. I use them. You know, there's some, and I'm telling you this because I don't get any affiliates. I don't get paid for any of this stuff, right? This is, use Credit Karma or any banking app that you might have. Check your credit score. Make sure that you know what's on there. Make sure that it's correct, right? Get responsible with your money, right? All right. So next segment we need to know is, you need to know your net worth. It's not just for millionaires. Right? You need to know what you're worth, right? So what is the net worth, right? It's what you own minus what you owe. Boom. Simple stuff, right? Assets minus liabilities, right? That's what your net worth is. And if it's not liquid, right? There's a lot of millionaires on paper. So when they run around talking about, yeah, I'm balling, but if you can't pull that $1 million out and have it in your hand, yes, you're a millionaire on paper, but that's it. You might just be a thousandaire, right? You might just be a thousandaire and boast of the millionaire because you want to sound good. You know what I mean? And there ain't nothing wrong with sounding good, but at some point you might have to back it up, and then people be talking about you. We don't want that, right? We really want to be true millionaires. That's why the Legacy Insights podcast is so important, because we want to be millionaires liquid, right? We want to be liquid millionaires. We want to have that in our hands so that we can actually be, of value and of true legacy power to our families, right? So net worth is basically minus what you own. What you own minus what you owe, right? There you go. So why is this a true score for your financial wealth and health? Because right, it just sets you apart from those people, those paper individuals, right? And you truly have the access that you're boasting about, right? It's all about access, right? It's become even more, and like I said, this is a show for everybody, but this capitalist society that we're in, and even more prevalent today, there's only 2 types of people in this world, in this country now, right? It's the haves and the have-nots. And it really is up to us to decide what side of the tracks we're going to be on. There's no more blaming anybody. It's time to step it up, right? It's time to get responsible with our money. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little walkthrough. Assets, what are they, right? It's checking and savings. It's your home value, investments, cars, things that are realistic that you can actually tangibly touch, right? And have, right? With your name on it, of value. Those are assets. Liabilities, what are they? Loans, credit cards, mortgage, collections, right? Anything that's taking away from those tangible assets that you have. Anything that's taken away from that, right? So how do you calculate for it? There, we're gonna try to get you some worksheets and guides with that. So as I go through these pillars, I'm going to be putting links in there for you. So please do not despair, right? But there are some calculators out there that and worksheets that you can actually do this for you. So don't you Google, right? All the AI, I think it's what is it? Copilot. All you gotta do is ask Copilot on Google. They'll pull up some worksheets for you, right? And so just to let you know, even if your net worth is negative, it's a starting point. There's nothing to be ashamed about. We talked about that right from the beginning of the show, right? Shame is not your fault. Lack of knowledge is not your fault. Getting responsible is your job. It's your duty, your responsibility. So let's just keep it there, right? Tracking networks help you to stay motivated and to see the progress, right? See, because as you start putting those dollars away, knowing where your money is being allocated, knowing what's going on with your financial health, then you start feeling good about it, right? You could talk to your spouse, you could talk to your children about being responsible with money. Hey, if you want this, if you want that, you want to earn it. Take out the garbage. My granddaughter said to me, she said, "Oh, we don't take out the trash. That's the boys' job." I said, "You want this money, don't you? If you don't want, if you want this money, you gonna take out that trash, right? If you want to go down to the event, and you asking me for a couple of dollars so that you and your friends can hang out and have some treats and stuff like that. Hey, that trash is sitting over there. It ain't too big of a deal. It ain't that heavy, right? If it was shopping bags, you'd be toting them all through the mall, right? But so, like I said, it's about giving them some responsibility, right? And seeing that progress. So net worth can even grow when the income doesn't. I just want to say that to you. In the right investment vehicles, your net worth can grow even though your paycheck doesn't. Now, a lot of people struggle with, well, I don't make enough money to invest. You make more than you really know. You handle more than you know. You know what I learned a long time ago? Most people will have touched over $1 million in their lifetime from the day they were born to the day that the good Lord calls them home. And most people said, I didn't have enough money. I don't have any money to put away. Goes back to budgeting, knowing what the difference between niceties and necessities and your goals. What are you really doing here? Do you have a strategy? Do you have a plan in place? That's why the Legacy Insights podcast is here, to help you with those areas, right? So do your first net worth check in this week. Write it down, right? Do your first net worth check. Know what you're worth. And then say to yourself, hey, is this good, bad, or indifferent? Can I live with this? Or this really needs some work. This really needs some work. Or, hey, I'm good. But are you good enough? Meaning, will it take you to where you're going? See, because a lot of people say I'm good, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, but are you truly getting the full value and benefit of your investment? Now, I tell people most right off from the gate, if your money in your investment is not getting more than the rate of inflation, you're losing the money game. So what do you mean? The people say, what do you mean, Mike? What do you mean moving money, Mike? What I mean is, if you're only getting 3%, 4%, or your money's sitting in the bank getting a percentage of a percentage on your savings, that bank is taking your money, loaning it out, and getting 16, 20% return on your money sitting in the checking account. Your checking account should only be a place to pay your bills. Your money should not be under a mattress. It should not be in the floor boards. It should not be in a cookie jar, sugar jar, in a slipper, in a sock, in a drawer, underneath whatever, your pajamas, right? It should not be there. What it should be is in a interest bearing account where you're getting some compounding interest of 8, 9, 10% return. That's what this show is all about. This is what we're going to be helping you with, right? So what I really want to do is just talk about what we covered so far. Budgeting means control. Doesn't mean you're broke. It doesn't mean you lack. Doesn't mean you can't have fun. Budgeting means control. Credit means access. It's going to allow you and your family to do some things, right? You might want to take a vacation. You might, but even then, you don't want to put too much on that credit card because guess what? You got to pay that when you come back home, right? And then the interest rates. You might end up paying for that vacation for 1, 2 years after you done taken it. Not a good look, right? And then net worth is your scorecard. So that homework that I gave you this past week. Check your credit score and check out your net worth. What are your assets versus your liabilities? And that's your net worth, right? So I want to emphasize these tools empower you to build forward, not just to survive. Right? So that's what this show is about. That's what the pillars, the 6 pillars of the legacy framework is meant to do, is to build and empower you to move forward, not just to survive. All right, so quick recap. You want to start small. Small steps compound, right? 1 step toward the mountain gets you to the top. Every day, 1 step, 1 step. Don't fear the numbers. Own them, right? If you're doing good and you feel great, feel better. If you looking at the numbers and they don't feel good at all, got some work to do. Don't feel bad about it. You just got work to do, right? They say it's not how you feel about it as much as what you do about it, right? If you money and emotions don't mix. They never have. They never will. Family and money, they say don't mix, right? But if you lay the groundwork, you can work with family, right? You put principles over personalities, and you just keep it moving, right? And you're not too late. I don't care where you are, how old you believe you are, saving and investing and growing what you have, you're not too late. They say half a loaf is better than no loaf at all. And if you got something, you can move it to where it will get you more, right? But if you're already maxing it out, let it ride. Let it ride. Now your time, the thing is to increase your income, right? Because if you got your money in the right places and you're still not where you need to be, then you got to get a side hustle. You got to get more money coming in. Like I said, we don't have a money problem in this country. What we have is a lack of getting more money problem in this country, right? Because you can see the wealth all around you. A lot of us feel that, hey, we just don't have it. So what do we need to do? We need to get busy, right? So the challenge that we have, what is it? Recreate your first budget. That's it. That's the challenge. That's the first challenge. We want to create that first budget. We want to know what's coming in, what has to go out, because we're responsible individuals, right? We got to know those things, right? And as we know that, we can also take a look of what we own and what we don't and paying on, our assets versus our liabilities equal our net worth. You want to know what those are, right? And if you don't like what the picture that you see, take another picture, right? They say if you don't like the recipe of the cake, you don't like the way it tastes, make a new cake, change the recipe, right? We are in control of the actions we take on a daily basis. So I don't want to sound like I'm contradicting myself, right? We're not in control of the outcome as much as we are controlling the planning for the outcome. So I want you to understand that. Now, number of things can happen, right? Any number of things can happen. It just is life. We manage it, like I said. But if we plan the things that's within our control, we plan, we take the necessary actions, we stay consistent with those actions, there is a pretty high probability that the outcome will be in our favor. Now, how much? Look, like I said, there's some things out there in the world that just come about, right? Things that come about. It's crazy. Like my son, he's saving money. Boom, 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 boom. His water heater broke today. Woke up, stood up in a puddle of water. Didn't realize it. Crazy. But that's how life is. Life happens. We manage it. We keep it moving. Right? I need you to check your credit score this week. I need you to check your credit score. I need you to get on Credit Karma. I need you to get in one of those credit apps. You get the free credit report. I think they're allowing you to do it twice a year now, right? And then calculate your net worth. Now, one of the great things about our show is that I'm here for you, right? So go to Legacy Podcast at the Legacy Insight Podcast, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, right? Go into my bio, click on the link, go to michaellewisfinancialspecialist.com. There's a ton of information there, backstory of who I am. I'm a licensed financial specialist professional for over a decade. I've helped a lot of families to get their mind and their money right. Also, there are some products and services there that you can learn about. There's some videos you can watch, right? Again, on the YouTube page, there is a link to get your no-cost free financial report. You click on that link, you go to the web page, you put in your name, your email, put in your telephone number, take the assessment. It's going to be fun, interactive. You're going to learn so much about financial literacy. It's going to reaffirm what you already do know, but it's also going to highlight some things you don't know. I do know that I've got to update that because I've got the Spanish. I got a Spanish version as well, right? For my Latin and Spanish speaking people out there and friends and family, right? I'm going to get that link on there so that you can listen to it in Spanish, right? Because sometimes, listen to things in your native language, it hits home, right? Or you might need to listen to a family member who does not speak English very well. I want everybody to have this information. Like I said, this is your show. This is what I'm doing for the people, right? So let's get this thing popping. So if you have any comments, questions, go to the Legacy Insights Podcast, leave a like, subscribe, go to the website, watch the videos, the telephone numbers on there, the emails on there, the free financial report is there, right? Use these tools, right, to make yourself more financial literate so that you can get what it is you're after, right? So like I said, the first thing is we're going to do the create the budget. We're going to check your credit score, and then you're going to calculate your net worth, right? So make sure that you do those things. Leave comments, subscribe, right? Now, this is a big part, right? This is a series. This is the Legacy Insights framework, the 6 pillars to financial strategy, right? Today was learn, right? Today was the L. It was a learn, right? Learn about budgeting, learn about credit score, learn about investments in your net worth, right? That's what this was all about. You got to learn, right? You can't graduate if you don't learn, right? So the next week's show is going to be pillar number 2, right? Elevate, right? Elevate, ways to increase your income and or your assets. I'm telling you don't want to miss this. You don't want to miss it. It's all free, right? It's all no cost. This information costs you nothing, right? There's people out there telling you, oh, you gotta do this and sign up for my course, and you gotta. No, you don't want to do that. You want to learn, and then you want to learn how to bring to manage what you have. Then you want to learn how to bring in more income, right? You don't want to spend money on someone's promise that they can make you wealthy. First of all, you got to get your mind and your money right that you've got. That's what you want to do. You got to know what's coming, what's going out, how to manage that, how to be responsible with it. Talk to your kids about it. The household is all going the same direction, right? That's the mind, getting your mind right. Then you got to get your money right, right? That's where legacy, the second pillar of Elevate comes in, right? How to create more income, increase it, right? So that's going to be pillar number 2, right? That's what we're going to do. So, ways to increase your income without losing your mind. Isn't that something? Wow, wow, without losing your mind, right? So, I want you to remember your legacy doesn't begin with money, it begins with mindset, right? So, let's build that. Let's build your mindset, right? I am your host, Mov'n Mike. And I really want to thank you for the privilege of your time. This has been a really, really big episode for me to start with the framework series for getting your mind and your money right. Right? So, with that, I want to say thank you and good night. And remember, hit subscribe, hit like, get those free resources to get your mind and your money right with Mov'n Mike. You take care.